Hey guys, in today's session we will understand how to use variables in MuleSoft. So let's directly get into the demo. I have my Anypoint Studio open. I'll create a project by clicking on File, New, Mule Project. I'll give my project name as Demo Variables. Click on Finish so that my project will be created. As you can see, left side my project has been created and it has opened my XML file where I will be creating my flow to create and access the variables. So first let me initialize the listener, HTTP listener, which will take the API request. So I'll create my listener configuration by clicking on place, and we can change the name over here if you want, but for now I'll leave it as it is. And my API request, API will listen on port 8081. The base path I want to edit is slash API for now. Okay. And the actual path I want to edit is slash fetch vars. All right. I'll click on file and save all. Then I will add a connector called set variable. By using this set variable connector, we can define one variable. So I want to give my variable name as var1 and the value of my variable will be value 1. Okay, I'll save it again. Then say for example, like this a set variable connector can be used to define a single variable, but we might have a requirement to define multiple variables at a time. And for that, we can use another connector called transform message. So this transform message serves multiple purposes. One is to transform the data from one format to other format, or if you want to manipulate or if you want to parse the data, we can use this transform message. Also, additionally, we can use this transform message to define multiple variables. So defining multiple variables using this transform message can be done by clicking on place over here. If you see, click on it and output format will be variable. My variable name I want to give it as var2. Click on OK, and the data that I want to add for this var2 will be var. Defining a variable syntax is var space var2 my variable name equal to my value. So I want to give it as value 2 and I want to return only var2. So what it does is it will create a variable with the value 2 and it will return the value 2. Now say for example I want to define one more variable. Click on this place symbol again and select variable var3. I'll define one more variable var space var3 equal to, I'll give it as value 3 and return var3. Okay, so now I have returned the two variables. If you see, we have var2 and var3 and we can define a number of variables as uh, by clicking on the plus symbol over here. At the same time, like if you want to parse any kind of input data, we can parse by clicking on output payload. And for example, the data transformation could be converting JSON to XML or JSON to CSV or CSV to XML, XML to JSON, any other format that we want. So lot of formats that it supports. Also at the same time, we can create some kind of business logic in this transform message by using data weave expressions. So data weave expression is an declarative syntax supported by MuleSoft that can be used to do a lot of data operations. I would say data conversions or data parsing, any kind of stuff that we can do with the help of these data weave expressions that are supported by MuleSoft in transform message, also in other connectors as well. So we will discuss about that later in the further sessions, but for now, like let's use transform message to define multiple variables. Now, so we have defined three variables, one variable in set variable and the other two variables are in transform message. Now I'll use logger to print the variables that I've created. So I'll drag the logger to the same flow. Now uh, I'll click on this symbol so that my data weave expressions will be enabled. I can add my data weave expression over here to like print multiple variables in the console. So var vars dot var1 It is populating here, and I want to add a static content over here with the comma, variable one, comma, and vars dot to, right, and comma space again vars dot var 3. Right, I have added three variables over here. I'll click on file and save all. Everything is saved. Now let's try accessing these variables. I'll click on it and start the project by clicking on run project. My application will be started now. As you can see, my project has been deployed. Now I'll open my Postman to hit this request. My API listens on HTTP protocol colon and localhost, as it's deployed in my localhost colon 8081 is the port on which my API is listening on, slash my base path of the API is slash API slash our actual path of the API is fetch vars, I think. Let me double check. Click on listener. Yeah, it's fetch vars. Yeah, hit on this request. This is get request, and as you can see, it has printed something. Let's go to console and see it has printed value 1, value 2, value 3. The reason why we are not returning to the like actual API call, we need to add the return message as well. For now we have not added, we will discuss that about in the further sessions, but this is how we can define variable in a set variable connector, or if we want to define multiple variables in transform message, we can do that. So if I hit it again, it will print again. Yeah, there you go. And at the same time, I'll stop this project. For example, I want to limit my listener connector to listen only on specific uh, methods, API method that I can define from advanced. Here, if I want to limit my API to listen on only post request, I can do that. So, but though my API call is on dev, it will not accept. If I add it as dev, apart from dev method, none of the other API methods will be allowed to make an API call to this flow. So that is how we can define. That's all for this session. Thanks for watching.